There is a Sufi story. There was one Maulvi. He went for pilgrimage to Makkah, Medina. He did the Hajj Yatra. When he came back, he was sitting in a congregation and relating about his Hajj Yatra. There was a sage in that congregation called Hazrat Junaiz. He said, Maulvi ji, you went on Hajj. Can I ask you a few questions? The Maulvi said, please go ahead. When you started off for your Hajj, you must have stopped in various places on the way. Yes, I did. Your defects, your infirmities, did you keep discarding them as you went along? The Maulvi said, actually they are still inside me. Hazrat Junaiz said, all right, never mind. When you reached Makkah, Medina, to see the Kaaba, at that time you must have worn a special cloth, ihram. It's a part of the ritual of the Hajj Yatra. It's an indication, I have now worn the cloth of Allah. I no longer belong to the world. Now I am a part of the divine. Did you create such sentiments when you wore that cloth? The Maulvi was quiet. Hazrat Junaiz said, after that you must have gone to the hill called Irfan. There, did you reject this sentiment of mera, tera, yours and mine? Did you give it up? The Maulvi was still quiet. Hazrat Junaiz said, then you must have gone to the two hills, Sufa and Marwa. The part of the tradition is that you go there and you run. While running, did you find yourself close to Allah? Did you perceive Allah close to you? The Maulvi was still quiet. Hazrat Junaiz said, after that you must have given the qurbani, the sacrifice. Did you sacrifice your selfish desires? Or did you just cut the head of the goat? Hazrat Maulvi was still quiet. Hazrat Junaiz said, then you must have, as the end, taken the stone pebble and thrown it. Did you take out the pebble of envy and reject it from within you? Maulvi was still silent. Hazrat Junaiz said, why don't you answer my questions? The Maulvi said, what should I answer? The way I was before the Hajj, I am still the same. Hazrat Junaiz said, then what was the purpose of the Hajj? You have only increased your ego by adding Haji in front of your name. And it has nothing to do with Allah. The purpose of the Hajj was to increase your devotion. That ultimately is the goal of all the processes, all the rituals, everything that we do. The ultimate aim is to develop love for God. That is why the Quran Sharif ends out here. Ma khalaqtal insa wa jinna illa liya'budun ya ayyuhu allazin. ए ईमान वालो, अल्लाह मियाँ खुदावंद ताला ने इंसान को इसलिए बनाया कि इंसान अल्लाह की इबादत करे. Allah made us so that we should learn to love Him. And that is what the Bible also says. Jesus was asked, Father, what is the most important commandment in the law? And He said, the first and foremost commandment is to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy might and all thy soul, and to love thy neighbor as thyself. In other words, love for God is the common message. And that is why in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Ved Vyas writes, Etavaneva lokesmen punsa swartha parasmrita ekanta bhaktir govinde yat sarvatra tadikshanam. In this human form, O souls, your primary duty is to engage in loving devotion to God, and that devotion means to see Him in everyone.